And back with the Malzberg Show, I'm Rick Unger filling in for Steve, who's out today, back in the chair tomorrow. And now we get to what I always consider one of my favorite parts of the show, the Malzberg panel. In this corner, Democratic political consultant and political strategist with Douglas Schoen, LLC, Jessica Tarlov joins us. And in Washington, joining us by way of Skype, we have Ford O'Connell, Republican strategist and political analyst. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having us.
So first, I want to talk about, there was a story that Fox News is running, and I believe the Washington Beacon, suggesting that the State Department will not rule out the possibility that the United States would pay a $50 billion signing bonus to the Iranians should they agree to sign a nuclear treaty with the United States. Now, before I even ask you your question, I do want to highlight that I think that headline's a bit unfair. What we're talking about, as noted by the Wall Street Journal, is there are some $120 billion of oil money that we have frozen in this country that would belong to Iran. And the question actually is, should we release a large chunk of that money now, or maybe a little smaller amount, or none at all until we see how Iran behaves? We'll start with Jessica Tarlov.
Well, I think I'm in complete agreement with you about the headline that I had to actually go and look around more. It was the headline that I received at first to see what was going on there. I think it's part of a narrative that President Obama doesn't care about Israel. He just wants to get a deal done no matter what the cost is. And I think he's made it clear at this point that that's not the case. I am for kind of a slow rollout of the assets to make sure that Iran is cooperating. But I don't think that we should treat this as a signing bonus. I definitely don't think that it's that.
It's not A-Rod. Ford, one of the concerns that have been expressed, and I think rightly so, is that any amount of money that we release that has been frozen may just go to fund terrorist activities on behalf of the world's largest funder of terrorism. What do you think?
Well, I think that's a great point. Let me put the $50 billion in perspective for you. That's 15% of Iran's GDP. What this is going to do is bolster the regime and basically not curtail their bad behavior, whether it's what's happening in Yemen or what's happening with terrorism around the world. These guys fund this stuff, and all we're doing, if we turn the money over that quickly, is giving them another reason to spit in the United States and our allies' face.
Yeah, but Ford, you would agree, if we are able to come to a deal.
Well, we're going to come to a deal. We're going to come to an agreement.
If we come to an agreement that's approved by Congress, because they're now going to have their say, and we actually have this deal, wouldn't you agree that we have to start releasing, on some schedule, we can argue about the schedule, some of this money that we have frozen that belongs to Iran?
Well, I think you're going to have to start doing that, but I think you should be really on the slow side, because one of the selling points to President Obama, to the American people, is that if Iran misbehaves, that you can snap these sanctions back into place, Rick. And I'm telling you, you cannot snap them back in. It took us 5 years to get these there. This is the last bit of leverage that we have on Iran.
Jessica, I want to switch up stories a little bit here. Christians are being killed by terrorists. If you happen to catch the last segment, we showed just a gruesome video of what's happening. We see Christians being thrown overboard on boats by Muslims. You know, has the moment arrived where not just the United States, but the world has to say enough of this? What do we do about this, Jessica?
Well, I think the moment's arrived where the rest of the world and the United States has to say enough of this. I think that President Obama needs to do better on behalf of Christians, Muslims, Jews, all the world's people, everybody. And this attack that he doesn't care about Christians, I think that that's ridiculous. That he doesn't care about Jews, I think that's ridiculous. And that he only cares about Muslims, obviously ridiculous. I think the point that he's been trying to make is that as we live in these very extreme times, to make sure that the Muslim population, an innocent Muslim population,
Jessica, if President Obama cares about anybody other than Muslims, I'd be shocked to know, because it takes Coptic Christians being killed on YouTube for the president to disavow it. I mean, and I agree, the European leaders have been slow as well, but I'm going to tell you something. It takes YouTube videos for President Obama to stand up, and that's a sad state of affairs.
But Ford, isn't that akin to saying that, when Giuliani said President Obama doesn't care about America, are you actually saying President Obama does not care about Christians, doesn't care about Jews?
I got to say, that's an extremist point of view that just doesn't make sense, Ford. I actually am with you. We need to do something at this point about it. But when you say that the president doesn't care about Christians, you're saying he doesn't care about his own children, who happen to be Christian.
Or himself.
Look, what I am explaining to you is the following: only when it's Muslims in the United States does he basically peep up.
I gotta cut you for it. But we're going to have you back in the next segment, and we'll continue to stay with us because we're going for round 2 at the panel. When we come back, don't go away. And we're back for part 2 of the Malzberg panel. If you're wondering who this person is sitting in the chair, I'm Rick Unger, filling in for Steve Malzberg, who's out on assignment today. We'll be back here in the chair tomorrow. We are getting it on, is the best way to put it, with our friend Jessica Tarlov, Democratic political consultant and political strategist with Douglas Schoen, LLC, and of course Ford O'Connell, Republican strategist and political analysis. If you're just joining us, I want to give Ford to have a chance to complete what he was saying in the last segment. Well, Ford, you were kind of putting some heat on President Obama for not standing up enough for Christians. Let me let you go with that.
What I was saying about President Obama is that essentially he only seems to pipe up for persecutions of Christians and even Jews around the world when it shows up on YouTube. He seems to have no compunction whatsoever about talking about persecution elsewhere, hence his National Prayer Breakfast talking about the Crusades. How can you do that as a leader of the free world? What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
But you're not alleging that President Obama doesn't care about Christians, Jews, Muslims, or anybody else, are you?
I'm not saying that he doesn't care about them, but this is politics, and in politics, perception's reality.
I understand. I just wanted to give you a chance to straighten that out.
Because trust me, the Italian prime minister did a terrible job, too, with the situation with Libya to Italy with the refugees. Basically, the Muslims threw 12 Christians over the side, according to Kirsten Powers, and that seemed to be like, well, workplace violence or fog of war situation. And even he needed to back that up as well. So it's not just President Obama, it's just that President Obama is the #1 leader in the world.
All right, so let me get you guys on record with respect to this new book that we keep hearing is coming out. It's called what?
Cash to Clinton.
Clinton Cash,
I think,
yeah, Clinton Cash, and basically alleges that there were some funky deals made between the Clinton Foundation, which got a bunch of money, and the quid pro quo allegedly being that Hillary, when she was Secretary of State, would do special favors in return for that money. Jessica, your turn. We'll start with you. Do you see, is this just another Clinton hit book, or is there some truth in this?
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the book. I've only read the reports. My hope is that it isn't true and that there are good explanations for every deal or what seems to be a deal that was done. And I know that you wrote a piece about this, looking into it deeper, which everyone should read. But what I wanted to also bring up is that we're talking about a guy who, he's a Bush guy. He was a Palin foreign policy guy. The author, Schweitzer. I don't know what a Sarah Palin foreign policy person actually looks like. But wait, Ford, could you just let me finish? Just 2 seconds.
1 minute to go, so please hurry up.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that this guy, his work outfit is funded by someone who supports Ted Cruz's super PAC and by the Koch brothers. There's a strong chance that this is a conservative.
Thank you for filibustering. That's the Clinton talking points, Communications 101. Discredit the accuser. He worked for NBC News, and you guys should be worried about the fact that the New York Times and the Washington Post basically bought exclusive rights to this. I don't want to jump the shark, but if he's able to connect the dots, Hillary Clinton's going to be in real trouble here with pay-for-play corruption because in a lot of battleground states, majorities say she's dishonest and untrustworthy, and if those numbers go to the roof, she's going to be in real trouble in the general election.
You know what, Ford, I would actually agree with you. If people, in mass believe the allegations, she would be. But let me just ask you about one. One of the allegations we know is made in the book is that the Clinton Foundation got in excess of $1 million for Hillary to influence the passage of the Keystone XL pipeline. Well, that really hasn't worked out very well. So did they give back the money, or is it possible that it might not be true? What do you say about that?
Well, I obviously some of them are done like that. I mean, I'm sure that Pete Rose bet on some baseball games that he lost on, Rick. I mean, these things happen.
Wait. I got to call you out. I got to call you out on that. Betting.
Obama was still her boss, and he didn't want to do that because he was basically in the pocket of Tom Steyer. So look, there's some things that she might have been able to do. There's others that didn't. It looks fishy. I'm going to hold back.
Yeah, but I'm going to call you out on that one because betting on a baseball game where you don't know the outcome is a lot different than somebody paying to get a bill through. You and I see this every day with what lobbyists do.
Yeah, but she did have a nice State Department report that said there was no environmental impact when she was in there, and that's when it began. So
all right, guys. Ford gets the last word today. He has a way of knowing how to do that.
He does. He talks.
We got to wrap it up, guys. Jessica Tarlov, Ford O'Connell, as always, love having you two on the panel. Look forward to seeing you back. Coming up next, you know it's Steve's favorite, and we're going to stick with it. Gimme 5 comes up right after this.